Welcome back. So tonight, my guest is Professor Ransford Van Gyampo. It's good to have you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Congrats on your appointment. We haven't spoken face to face, even though I've interviewed you on phone.
Thank you, Bernard.
Yeah, I think we saw it 30th January. That means that
28th January
28th,
was the dated
letter.
Yeah.
So you're one of the early
appointees.
That suggests to me the president was very clear what he wanted you to do even before he won, because for you to have been named before the end of January, before even some other positions were named, it's very clear that he knew what he wanted from you. Correct?
Well, maybe. I'm not in the president's mind, but if you say so, I'm sure so.
I'm just deducing. But for those who don't know your research, they will be surprised that you said yes to shipping authority. So talk to us a bit about why it shouldn't be surprising that you are heading Shippers Authority.
I think it's a position of leadership. I've taught governance and leadership for many years. And so you have the expertise, people with the expertise there, and you are supposed to just listen to them, go with your own vision, and make sure they buy into it. Your vision aligns with the broader vision of the organization. Get them to appreciate it, mobilize them, rally them behind you. To see, a leader is somebody who is able to inspire confidence in the people and influence them such that they are able to give you enthusiastic cooperation to help you succeed in whatever you set out to do. So it's just a position of leadership that I believe that...
But don't you have to be interested in it? So let me give an example. If, for example, you were made head of local government service, because I know what you've done with IEA and the way you appreciate local governance, it can be a very direct link to something you are passionate about. I've never seen shipping as something you've even spoken about before.
Unknown to you, I had done some extensive, you can Google and pull my research CV, and it tells you that I won some research award, consultancy award with some colleagues at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark on maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. The program lasted for about 3 to 5 years, and we did extensive work researching into that area, shipping and maritime issues, and I churned out quite a number of publications also in that area. But I never knew that I was going to be given an opportunity. But I'm a man of faith, so maybe you know, when that opportunity was given to me, I questioned myself. I'm talking when I was asked to join the team to undertake the research in the area of maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. I questioned myself that, but this is not my area. But as a researcher, I took it upon myself as a challenge, and within 1-2 years, I felt I had been adequately socialized into the issues in the area, to the point that I was churning out research publications also in that area. And so maybe God knew that I would be told to come head the Shippers Authority, and that's how come that opportunity came. It was a challenging opportunity, but if you're a researcher, you're just going to search for information and reporting and questioning things and trying to find answers to them. And it didn't come, even though it was challenging, I found myself doing it and doing it well. To the extent that you could publish journal article in high impact factor journals, globally acclaimed and reputable journals, then it meant that I was properly socialized.
So maybe that was the way you have been prepared divinely for this job?
Maybe divinely. But I'm not sure that many people, I'm not sure that even President Mahama was aware of that research. Maybe he had seen my CV, but I'm not too sure. And so because you can
never know these people.
well, I mean, they have their own way of interrogating your background before. So
what I was interested in is, you've said elsewhere that this is at least the 4th time that either President Mahama or the NDC government or party has tried to get you to accept a position. So why did you say yes this time? Because I think you said elsewhere that on 3 occasions you had said you were either not ready or whatever.
Yeah, but you cannot be unready in perpetuity.
Okay.
So you're told that this is a time for you to join to serve. It is enough. You've done enough standing outside and subjecting regimes to strict proofs, criticizing them, making proposals as to how they have to do things. And it makes sense to me that if somebody stands outside and proffers suggestions and is always scrutinizing and offering constructive criticisms, it presupposes that he should have an idea of how to do things. And so if you carry yourself as somebody who has an idea of how to do things, it is reasonable for every sensible leader to say that, then come in to help. And when you are approached on that tangent that you feel that you can help, and so come and help, and it's about nation building and national development, I think it is nation wrecking and sabotaging for you not to respond to that call. So even though previously we felt we were not ready, like I said, you cannot say you are not ready in perpetuity. At one point in time, you have to serve. And I'm happy and glad that I yielded to the call to serve, and I like so far what I've been helping.
We'll come to that. I'm still trying to sort of segue into that. I just want to get your mind on a few things before I get into that. So, are you ideologically, how shall I say, aligned with the NDC? Again, because you're a political science professor, whose opinions we seek sometimes to run commentary on general issues. So the question is 2 in 1. Are you ideologically aligned to the NDC, and have you always been?
There's no ideological purity anywhere in the world now. With the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union and all that, there isn't anything like ideological purity. It was capitalism, socialism, war that was fought, but America becoming unipolar, the unipolar system created with America at the top of the hegemony. Ideological purity does not exist anywhere under the sun. So my point is that NDC practices social democracy, MPP is liberal democracy, and there's been ideological crisscrossing. Okay, the ideology that I subscribe to is the welfare and well-being of Ghanaians. What would be in the interest of Ghanaians? Sometimes if it would sync with socialism or social democracy, I'll go for it. If it will sync in any other ideology, I'll go for it. So there is no political party in Ghana now that is ideologically pure.
Okay. So moving away from ideology to just party support, have you always been an NDC supporter?
No, I've never been a supporter of any political any one political party, but I've voted since 1992. Okay, I've voted for MPP, I've voted for NDC. In fact, so these are the 2 main parties I've voted for.
You didn't try CPP? PNC, NIP, bro. You didn't. It's either MPP or NDC. You didn't try any of the Nkrumah's people.
Maybe I shouldn't have even answered this question.
No, you've asked many questions. You have to answer some.
No, so I voted for either. I can tell you how my voting pattern has been like. I used to love Jerry Rawlings. I voted for him throughout. Okay. But I was part of the student movement during the Mobrowa struggle. We kicked against Jerry. It was an offense to be seen as a supporter of NDC.
In those days.
In fact, if you're going to contest election and somebody wrote VOSA, Voter Region Student Association, on your poster, it was enough for you to lose an election, because it was felt that all Volsarians were supporters of Rawlings and all that. So we were the ones who kicked against Rawlings. After supporting him for his 2 terms, we said it was okay, he should leave. And then we supported, we voted for Akufo for 2 terms. And then afterwards, we felt that he should also go. I supported President Mills. We spoke for him, we voted for him, and then he did 1 term, he exited. The second term that President Mahama had to continue, we supported President Mahama. But in the lead up to 2016 elections, we felt we were the ones who chased him out I was an avowed critic of President Mahama. And I think that you are a fair-minded Ghanaian, and a fair-minded stakeholder in Ghana's media landscape. So if I tell you that I was among the loudest critics of President Mahama in the lead up to 2016 elections, you know, and there are documentary proofs. The internet doesn't forget. We chased him out of office in the hope that President Akufo-Addo was going to be the Messiah. And some of us, during the Mobra struggle and the days that we were students and were going on demonstration, he showed himself as somebody who was a human rights protector, and he spoke for us when we were being beaten from Castle to Cantamanto during the Mobra struggle. They were brutalizing us. He was there for us. We felt that, look, this man was going to be the best president that we would ever have in Ghana. We gave him the mandate, and in 2017, when he came to power, he started well, but before 2020, he had lost it. But he won the 2020 elections, whose results I've always described as a victory with a taste of defeat for the NDC and a defeat with a taste of victory for the MPP. Technically, I think that to the extent that the parliament then became hanged, it suggested to me that
the NDC
MPP lost the 2020 elections. But after his first term, I was disappointed. And so I didn't vote for him again. And in the lead up to 2024 elections, I thought he had done worse than all the governments in the Fourth Republic, and that's my view. I'm entitled to my view as a scholar and as an analyst and as a Ghanaian. I thought he had done worse compared to all the regimes. And so, you know, I had placed him on a certain higher pedestal. You know, you and I, if we run afoul of the law, for instance, if we violate traffic rules and we are taken to court, a judge who sees you and I would punish us harder because he expects us to know better, compared to somebody who, excuse my language, has not been to school before and has committed traffic offense. So I had placed him at a certain higher pedestal. And when I realized that he was not performing to meet the expectation, I was annoyed. And that's how come I was always one of his loudest critics.
So would you say his, in your words, bad performance pushed you finally into NDC?
No, it did not push me into any political party. In my critique, I was criticizing what I thought was wrong.
Okay.
And so you
were you expecting a position?
Let me finish.
Or you were not?
No, let me finish this. So when I was criticizing President Mahama in the lead up to 2016 elections, nobody said whether his performance then pushed me into MPP. I was doing my work as a political scientist, using the canons of the political science discipline to subject regimes or the government of the day to strict proof. So that's all I was seeking to do. So it had nothing to do with Party A or Party B. It was just looking at the face of the one who was governing to say this is right, this is wrong. And so that was it.
Last transition question.
And you're asking whether I was expecting any...
No, you've already answered that.
Okay.
From political scientist to political appointee, how do you manage such a transition?
I think I'm still a political scientist. I've said it, and I'm sure you know, you heard the conversation I was having with my teaching assistant prior to coming here. I've never stopped teaching, and I will not stop teaching till I die. So even though I'm an appointee, I still find time to go and teach, and I teach for free.
This is political science?
Yes, I teach for free. I teach all my courses, so I'll either go to the lecture hall very early. This morning I taught before going to work.
Wow.
And this evening, after this program, I'll go to a lecture hall.
So teaching is your passion?
I never dreamt of becoming a teacher, but once I got in there, I like the kinds of things. I like the fact that I've read a lot of books, I've done a lot of research, and I'm sharing the whatever I've studied in my head with the students with the view to producing nation builders.
But I feel like now that you are working in government, it gives you a different experience, which then when you bring to the teaching may even be richer, correct?
It is a practical experience, and my students will tell you, if you after this program, if you would go to my class with me, my class is always, teaching is always littered with so many practical examples of what I've gone to see. And
so with the 6 months you have been in office, would you say any of your political theories that you believe, you started questioning them? Because now this is where the rubber meets the road, right? You are leading an institution that's very significant with a large number of stakeholders. Has your 6 months given you anything to say, maybe this theory, I'll rewrite the theory?
No, I still, theories are theories, practice are practice. There are things that I knew or I know exist in theory, and then when you go to the practical field, they may not work. But I've always insisted that, you see, without theory, we cannot shape practice. Okay. You see, theory is there to make practice good. Okay, theory is there and it is expected to shape the conduct of practice. And so you cannot, if you cannot go to the field and say that what I studied in school is theory, and as for the practice, because it has, as for the practice, it must have nothing to do with theory. You see, theory is what is expected to be, what ought to be. And so when you go to the field, what ought to be that you have studied is expected to tamper what is practice. And so oftentimes, what is there in reality may not be good. And if you study theory, you are supposed to bring it to bear with the view to shaping what is there that may be bad. So for instance, when I went to my organization, I saw so many things that I felt that, well, people had institutionalized, but I felt like, no, why don't we question it? Why don't we challenge it? Example is my own decision that I'll remain the only CEO who would fly economy ticket anytime I travel. Anywhere. And people.
So if you are going from here to be in Japan,
I've had so many. I've traveled to the United States. It's very long, and I didn't do here to somewhere. And I flew straight, and I was in economy. And the point is this: wow. It is part of my conditions of service to fly business class. But around the time I got there were some financial challenges, and I said that, look, even though it is expected that I fly business class, I think that the practical reality is that they don't have enough resources. So I wouldn't be the CEO who would milk the organization dry, even if the organization is not making profit. There are some people who wouldn't care about the financial health of the organization. They would collect everything that is due them. But I feel that you should be able to be sensitive to the times.
So is this just for you, or because you have directors who may want to take advantage of the business class, or you are cutting it for everybody? Unfortunately,
this is what happened. I had a manager who was traveling, and they brought everything to me. I had to look at it, and it was a business class. And I said, I simply minuted on it that the CEO, would always fly economy. And that's all I said. And so it meant that wow. So all must fall in line. I've had some of them appealing to me, but I've already said it, and I've insisted that unless we are able to get to a certain level of financial sufficiency, that policy.
So you are bringing austerity to the shipping authority organization, shippers authority organization.
That is what I'm seeking to do. So because of that, I don't drive government vehicle to any function apart from sending it to government work. If I'm going to church, if I'm going to wedding, if I'm going to funeral, if I'm going anywhere, I had my own car before government appointed me. And so I buy my fuel. I came here with my driver. Anytime I'm driving my own car, I give money. That buy fuel. And
But you live in government house?
I still live on campus.
You don't live in government apartment?
No.
Government accommodation?
No.
You are entitled to it, though, aren't you?
I'm entitled to it, but to the extent that I remain a teacher at the University of Ghana, now I am paying for my accommodation on campus. Commercial rate.
Okay.
Yes, once you go on secondment, government is supposed to give you a bungalow. I'm told that something was being arranged for him, but I prefer to live on campus. I will not.
You like the ambience?
Yes. So I pay commercial.
So you're on secondment, not on sabbatical?
No, I'm on secondment. So I am a staff of the university on loan to government.
Amazing.
And so I live on campus and I pay commercial rate for my accommodation.
We're talking to Professor Gyampo, and we haven't even asked him about why he's here in terms of why I invited him, but I just wanted to lay this foundation, which is really good. You've inherited an organization that has been thrown into a very turbulent environment, because in our news, we've had a lot of controversy between different stakeholders in the institution you run. So we have freight forwarders complaining about shipping lines. They talk about unfair competition. They talk about distorted pricing. They talk about sometimes non-functioning systems within the ports. But we're going to take it one by one. When you took over, you visited all the stakeholders. So I know you know the issues. What's your understanding of the quarrel between the freight forwarders on one hand and the shipping lines at the port on the other? What's your understanding of that quarrel?
I think essentially it's about somebody wanting to make profit, and then others also feeling you are unnecessarily milking us dry.
Okay.
And Shippers Authority comes in to regulate the relationship such that shipping lines would... It is unethical for somebody to come from his hometown to come and do business and you say he shouldn't make profit. So shipping lines would do their business to make profit, but in so doing, it will not be so much at the expense of the other stakeholders. And so if you look at our act, previously it said that we should regulate the activities so we should negotiate. For instance, if it comes to the charges that they levy, we are just supposed to negotiate those charges. And so if they bring some charges that we feel as regulators, we feel that they are too much, we'll just have to sit with them and negotiate. And in negotiating, they can say yes, they can say no. But our new act says that no, don't negotiate. You approve or disapprove. So every year we are required to just write to them and ask them to submit their charges to us. Now, after submitting their charges to us, we compare the charges to what pertains elsewhere, and then we look at the justifications. We ask them for justification. So somewhere last week, I wrote, we had received the charges of virtually all the shipping lines, and then we had written back to them asking for justification of some of the charges. And so if we don't want to be an agency of the state that will just sit down and say we have approved or we have not approved. So first of all, we've written to them asking for them to justify
the charges.
So if the justification are not, that they provide aren't enough, then we'll be able to tell them that we cannot approve of this, so we disapprove. And we've been doing this, apart from the shipping, any stakeholder that has a role in port charges. Their charges would have to come to us. Just last week, we had a letter that Gyampo was going to bring about some charge. They were asking shippers to pay some charge that we were not aware. So once we got to know, we just quickly, the Gyampo Chief Director General has been an excellent Director General.
Okay.
His attitude to work and the way and manner he relates with stakeholders, very cordial and conciliatory. And so I've adopted same attitude towards him. So once I saw it, I called him on phone. I said, my big brother, we'll have to talk. We went to meet with him and I told him that, look, these charges, this charge that you are bringing, you should first of all bounce it, submit it to the Ghana Shippers Authority. And we must look into it to approve or not to approve, even though you are an authority on your own. But so long as what we are going to demand is a port charge, it has to come to us. We negotiated, we spoke about it, and then he understood. This morning he called me, telling me that it's written, he's bringing the charges to us. And we said, so long, as soon as we receive it, we'll look into it, and then see whether it must be approved or not. Around that same time, we had heard that Minerals Commission actually had gone through the fees and charges arrangement to have an agreement that every excavator that is exiting the port must be levied $250. And we said that, yes, we are so much in support of the fight against galamsey. And so we would support every move that would minimize anything that accentuates, galamsey. But to the extent that the $250 is also a port charge, it must come through us. And so we called Minerals Commission, the authorities, into a meeting, and we discussed it extensively. We were not conclusive. We've scheduled another meeting, for Monday, hoping to get them to understand that you cannot go on with those charges unless we approve of them. Wow. And so basically, this is what we have been doing. Beyond that.
So let me get this straight. There are freight forwarders and people who facilitate the work of shippers. Then there are shipping lines, who are the companies that bring in the freight.
Yes.
Then there's the port authority.
Yes.
And you're saying for all three, any charge they impose.
Anyone who is imposing a charge at the port.
A charge?
Yes, that charge must be approved by the Ghana Shippers Authority. Yeah.
That's serious. So the GPHA, which is an authority, did not disagree with you?
We made sense to them. We explained our law, and like I said, the man at the helm of affairs is a gentleman.
Wow.
He's a soldier man, but he's a gentleman. And he's always told me that, Prof, don't write. Come and let's talk.
Your latest your English is a lot. So just let's talk.
Don't write. Okay. Come and let's talk. And to the extent that we are all working for the same government, and we are all working to better the lot of Ghanaians, we found it appropriate to rather use dialogue and behind-the-scenes conversation to resolve our issues.
This is the point of view. We're speaking to Professor Ransford Gyampo, who is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority. When we come back, the Bank of Ghana issued a directive to shipping lines, which he was involved in. We'll deal with that. His board was also constituted today. Means they are ready for action. We'll discuss all of that and other issues. Stay with us.